Good morning, good day, and good evening. Welcome back to the show. I'm as always your host, Brody Robertson, and today we have the developers, or some of the developers, the lead developers. Well, yeah, we'll go with that one. The lead developers of the Pico OS project. Welcome to the show. How about you introduce yourselves, and then we can talk about what the project is. I guess so. You don't talk over each other. Ferreo, you start, and then we'll go to Cosmo.
Morning, I'm Ferreo. I'm a software developer by trade, and I'm one of the lead maintainers on Pico OS.
Okay. I thought you were going to say more than that, but sure, that works. Cosmo.
Hello, I'm Cosmo, a teenage developer who's the lead developer of Pika. My favorite programming language is Rust.
Hey, at least you said a little bit more about yourself. So firstly, I just want to say thank you to Kylo and Echo for bridging the gap here, because I was aware of the project for quite a while now. I think I first heard about it back when I had one of the times I had Glorious Eggroll on the show. Yeah, I think he brought it up a couple of times, but I hadn't really looked too deeply into the project back then. And I wasn't really sure how to get in contact with anyone involved in it, so I didn't do that. But now we're here, so welcome.
Hello. So about that, we also were trying to find a way to contact you. I am a fan of the Tech Over Tea show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I saw your interview with Glorious Eggroll, and I wanted to add my own answer to these questions.
Yeah, for anyone who might be curious, who's not aware, I have the easiest way, if you don't have a Twitter or a Mastodon, my email is listed on my YouTube account. So for anybody who wants to get in contact, that's the easiest way. I'm not going to say it here because I don't want to deal with more AI scrapers having my email. The ones that already have it now are enough of a problem with all the useless spam that I'm getting. I don't need more of it. But yes, go to the YouTube channel. So, I guess the very first place to start here is, at a high level, what is Pico OS?
Pico OS is basically a Debian distribution that's way more up to date, from DEs to Mesa drivers to backend stuff like Zig and C, GCC, Rust. We update all that. On top of that, we got our own configs. From some are our own things, some are stolen from PikaOS and Nobara, and we also contribute back to them. So it's fair, I guess. We also use package optimizations, just like PikaOS, x86 v3 and LTO, to improve upon Debian's performance.
I do definitely want to touch on all of those things in more detail, but I think the first place I want to get to from here is why going with something Debian based? Because obviously the thing this project gets compared to quite often is going to be something like Nobara. But why build off of a Debian base? Because you could go with an Arch base, you could do a Fedora base. Why Debian specifically?
We chose the Ubuntu Debian space because there's already a million awesome distros for Fedora and Arch. For Arch, you have PikaOS already. If we wanna do Fedora, we'll just contribute to Nobara. That's better. The Debian and Ubuntu space, everything is out of date and doesn't have these performance optimizations, so it's kind of like an empty space to conquer. On top of that, for a normal user, that I would suggest a deb base. A new user who wants to download the Minecraft launcher, he would go to minecraft.net. You would find the deb there. So that's why we chose. I also just like Debian
Fair.
personally.
Yeah, prior to there being things like Flatpaks and app images, Deb was sort of treated as the default distribution method for proprietary packages, for better or worse, because it works out well enough if you're dealing with Debian or Ubuntu, but I imagine sometimes there can be package dependency mismatches there if you're using things that are a bit more newer than what those actually expect.
We don't seem to have experienced that. Like, we didn't get any reports of that. Although in theory it is possible.
I think the main area we get that is with like kernel modules,
Right.
like DKMS packages, which because we use a much newer kernel than most Debian-based systems.
Yeah, well, in that case, it is very, very version dependent. You want to have the DKMS modules built against that kernel version. I can definitely see how that would be a problem. But I guess things like, well, to be fair, I was going to say things like Steam, but no, you just grab, there should be a regular package for it anyway. I can't even think of that many things you would want to grab from the websites directly that there wouldn't be a better installation method already. If you have any if you have any examples of that, I would like to hear them.
Basically, Google Chrome, the Minecraft launcher, Discord, because we sometimes miss if you package it yourself, you miss an update, then it does the whole loop thing.
Right.
Where it will ask you, do you want a tar, GZ, or a deb? Now, if you were an Arch, you would have to change the package build of the AUR thingy. But here, you just download the new deb.
Fair enough. Yeah, Arch manages to somehow keep things relatively smooth with the Discord updates. Usually when there's a Discord update, there'll be a new package version within a couple of minutes. But without having some sort of tooling in place to make that happen, that would be a bunch of additional work because Discord, they can't just make things work in a way that makes sense. They need to throw out updates every couple of days that just make the idea of packaging annoying. It makes sense in the Windows and the macOS model where self-updating binaries are a fairly normal thing, but on Linux, when you have this package management system, you know, we've all seen Discord complain because it needs to install a new package version.
I guess the biggest gripe with that is that it doesn't let you just continue to launch anyway. It forces you to go get the new version, which is just ridiculous.
Like, I would understand if it was like, hey, you can launch, but if you're not on the absolute latest version, I don't know, voice chat doesn't work. Like, sure, I guess that's that's fine. I don't know why Steam's never had an issue with it, now that I think about it, because Steam does its own internal updating as well. I'm sure there's some reason for, like, or some method they've built in place to make that not become a problem. I would have to ask someone at Valve how that happens.
The Steam package is like basically a small script. You just launch it and it downloads a Steam client in your home directory, which is writable by the program itself. So when you update the Steam package, you only need to update the scripts. If the scripts don't need a change, it just updates them in your home directory, the Steam UI client.
Actually,
so it doesn't have that problem.
I guess that makes sense.
But
oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, but Discord is a Chromium React thingy. When they update, you have to change the Chromium binary in the root directory every time. So they need package just for that.
That's fun. What like I don't like Discord. I only use it because it's popular.
Same.
Yeah, it's a problem with chat apps, isn't it? Until they get like popular, there's no point using it, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of just stuck where all the people are.
Yeah, I've had people be like, hey, why don't you make a gilded, or why don't you make this, why don't you make that? I'm like, for the 5 people that use it, like, yeah, I guess that's cool, but at the end of the day, a chat application, it could be the greatest thing ever. It could have the some amazing feature set, but if the people that you want to talk to aren't on it, it basically has 0 value.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
So,
But
going...
also, like, Discord is internally the best one. When you get in, it has the best interface. IRC sucks.
IRC is a great tech to build off of. Like the Twitch chat is built off of IRC, but from a user experience, I know there's people that love IRC who've been using it for 30 years. But let's be honest, the user experience of most IRC clients is not great. It's fine and you get used to it. And to be fair, Discord has its issues. It's very cluttered in a lot of places. But it makes sense why people sort of gravitated towards that back when that started coming out. Especially when there wasn't really something that fit in that space. People were moving over from things like Ventrilo, TeamSpeak, Skype. We didn't really have something that fit in that Discord way of communicating we have now. I guess, unless you want to go back to IRC.
Yeah, like Pride element, it's an absolute joke compared to Discord. It feels so barren.
Yeah, it's gotten better. My main problem with Matrix is the moderation experience for a server is just... it's a mess. And you can't delete a server. You need to ban everyone from it or send this very specific JSON package that effectively tells the home server to treat that as like a null server, and then it will clean it up. There's no clean, hey, delete the server button, which I've wanted a couple of times because I've made rooms before and I didn't want them around anymore.
Yeah, lol.
My biggest gripe with Matrix is like the more people are in your community, the slower the entire experience gets for everybody in it. It just
yeah,
like defeats the point.
Yeah, it's... I like the tech, don't get me wrong, and I wish we could all be using some open source communication standard, but we don't. So, you know, it is what it is, basically. So, going back to Pico OS, the obvious comparisons that people are going to make are things like, hey, why use Pico OS when there's this Nobara thing? Or why use Pico OS when there is this CatchOS thing? And obviously you mentioned it having a Debian base as well. But for a lot of people, the base of the distro doesn't really matter. It's everything else around that. So what else does Pico OS actually provide to the user?
Pico OS, like I mentioned, has the CacheOS and Nobara patches. But on top of that, we have our own patches, some things, Ferropols for kernels and stuff. The GUI applications, such as the update manager, the kernel manager, and the new device manager thing we made. These things make the user experience for managing these things a lot better. And we also like export them to other distros. Nobara's GUI applications are PikaOS applications exported to Nobara.
Can you talk more about those pieces of software that you've built, the like device manager and things like that? Because I wasn't aware of those.
Yeah, the device manager is like, they're all like GTK for libadwaita Rust tabs. So it basically allows you to... it lists all PCI and USB devices you have, puts them in classes. You can click on them, you can unload the driver or load it, or make it permanently not load the driver on boot time, or undo that. So if you have a faulty device or something, you could just not load the driver for that. And
Mm.
also there was an old program called PikaOS Driver Manager.
Mm-hmm.
It basically had an adapt like a JSON that's downloaded on runtime. It has a database of all packages that could be installed for a certain device.
Mm-hmm.
We basically got rid of that program and merged it into this device manager.
Mm-hmm.
So let me send you a screenshot
Yes, that'll be nice.
for.
The question is, will I remember to cut out the dead air, or will I just leave it in? That's we'll see what happens in post, won't we?
Man, that lock was a bitch. Yeah, I basically need a VPN to send you stuff, embeds in Discord.
Oh, it's fun.
I'm under sanctions.
Mm.
Did you receive it?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So you can basically see there's like these 4 buttons under where it lists the device info.
Mm-hmm.
You can unload the driver for the NVIDIA
Mm-hmm.
and make it not load on boot and such. And on the available
Ah.
profiles list, you can see you can install different versions of the NVIDIA driver.
Mm-hmm. Right, so it's just providing a graphical method to interact with what would normally be some sort of CLI command that you would run.
Not even a command like this thing specifically. You need to echo into sysfs. There is no command. I just wrote a script and this is like the front end of it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Let me send you another screenshot
Okay.
of what this looks like too.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be faster this time.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Let's see if we have to cut out the dead air. Ah, there we go. Awesome.
Yeah, so you can basically see.
Okay. So we have the
Device manager
yes.
and driver manager combo.
Right. Okay, okay. So
Yeah, so
for
the
anyone
next
just listening,
program.
for anyone just listening, on the left-hand side, there's a big list of the devices with the PCI devices, USB devices under that, and then on the right-hand side, we have the VGA-compatible controllers here.
Yeah. So for the next program,
Mhm.
it's our update manager.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show that. So it basically allows you to update apt and flatpak packages and manage the repos for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me send you the screenshot lists.
Okay.
Similar things do exist in like Linux Mint and stuff, but
Right.
we tried using
Yeah, but
those and we had nothing but problems with people it just not working or people having upgrade issues and things. So.
Any idea why
yeah,
those could be the issue? Could be an issue?
they were just coded in horrible Python.
Is the Python bad, or are you just not a fan of Python?
Like, it's not really great for this sort of thing because you need to load multiple things and have multi-threading and such.
Mm-hmm.
And the backends for like apt and flatpak, their libraries, are not really implemented well in Python.
Right.
They don't have good Python bindings.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Linux Mint in specifically doesn't code them well. Like, to be honest.
Well, that's as good of a reason as any to make something in Rust then.
Yeah.
Do you have that screenshot?
And like It's the programs that we make ourselves are best optimized for the PikaOS experience.
Did you mean to send a screenshot? Because all I'm seeing in the chat is text saying
Yeah,
update manager.
yeah. It's they're coming.
Oh, okay. You want to like separate it. I see. I see. That makes sense.
My connection is horrible. Please help.
Oh, you want to? Okay, you had sent 6 at once. Okay, that explains the problem. Okay. That makes sense. Cool. Sweet. Okay, so the first one here we have is just like a general home screen showing you that you have updates available. On the left hand side there is like a list of different things that can be updated. Then we have a list of all of the upgrades you can do through apt. Okay, so this is for like all of the different things that you manage on your system. So you can update Flatpak through this as well. Okay, that's cool. What is this apt? Oh, the apt settings page is the repos you grab from. Ah,
Yes.
okay.
So basically, like on we used to steal the Ubuntu on.
Mhm,
So basically, you would have the updater and the software properties GTK
mhm,
thingy.
mhm.
Basically, they needed each other. They were dependent on each other, and they both sucked ass. So we rewrote them.
Mhm. Let's see. Flatpak settings is basically the same thing. It lets you set your Flatpak repos, which, to be honest, you're probably never gonna touch anyway, unless you want to have like some beta repo. And I think that last screenshot a replica of an earlier one? Oh no, it's not.
No, shows you like what happens if you click on a package. You can get the description, the developer info, size, and
Mhm,
such, and to see and where the URI is coming from.
mhm. Okay, that's nice. So this is built in Rust. What like toolkit is it built with?
Libidoita.
Oh, so you're using the Rust GTK bindings.
Yes,
Okay.
they
Uh,
are they are actually great.
I've heard very mixed
Like
things about them. Yeah, can you talk about that? I actually would like to know.
like the most annoying thing with them is basically multi-threading,
Mhm,
but that can be easily resolved with the async channel thingy.
mhm, mhm,
Otherwise, like yeah, it's class-based, so it looks really good with GUIs,
mhm,
working with them, elements, and they're fast AF.
mhm. Considering that you're using Rust, what made you want to go with what made you want to go with GTK? Like, there are native Rust toolkits, or were you not a fan of the state they are in, or yeah, what exactly was wrong with those?
I mean, I originally was a Python GTK 3 dev.
I see. Okay.
That's like the first thing I tried.
Mhm.
Why did I go with that? Basically, Python was my first language, so
Mhm.
that's the Python part. And and GTK is like the GTK 3 specifically
Mhm.
integrated well with both GNOME and KDE,
Mhm.
whereas Qt integrates well with KDE but doesn't look good in GNOME.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it kinda looks better than Qt
Mhm.
back in the GTK 3 themes days.
Mm-hmm.
So that so my first GUI experience was based on that. So I went looking for a better language,
Mhm.
and the internet is full of Rust propagandists. So yeah,
That's one way to put it. Yeah.
so basically they said memory safety, and I was like, okay, cool,
Mhm.
I'll take that. And why JTK4? Because I'm experienced with JTK3, so just went with that.
So it's just
And
going. What if you knew?
my
Basically.
statement still stands. Like that's that
Mhm.
looks this is KDE,
Mhm.
and that app looks really good in it.
Yeah, this is actually a really clean looking application. I'm kind of surprised with you mentioned it was libadwaita.
Yeah, this is a little bit later. It looks great in KDE, and
Mm-hmm.
it will of course look great in GNOME.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The native Rust things,
Mm-hmm.
like sled and whatever it was. What was it? The
Sorry.
thing
Oh,
that
Slint iced.
Slint, yeah, Slint and Iced. Like they're cool, but they don't look integrated with neither KDE nor GNOME,
Right.
and I have no experience with them.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, so
you know
that's what.
GTK, so it just made sense to go GTK.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think this is one of the things I did want to talk about with the way the way the project shows itself up. So when I go to the PikaOS website, yes, you do you talk a bit about like what the project is, but I had no idea these tools existed, and I do think that it might be helpful to put some of that stuff on the front page of the website of the wiki, so people actually know that this stuff is even something that is available.
it's all Ferro's fault.
Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, the main issue we have is we're both busy developing the distro, right? So
Fair.
it's difficult to find time to concentrate on the wiki. And we were based on Ubuntu, and we recently, late last year, switched over to the Debian base.
Mm,
And we wanted to have a new web page for it, so we just kind of threw up the wiki. So
I see. I
it is
see.
very much just placeholder. We did used to have a website and everything, but obviously we changed base and it was all out of date, so there was no point trying to update that. So
Right. That explains why when I went and looked into some stuff, I was seeing people saying it was Ubuntu based. Some of those must have been some older comments then, or people who didn't realize there was a change in the base.
yeah, so I guess for everyone watching and listening, we started converting over around last year. It took a long time for us to, because we're rebuilding every single Debian package, so it took about 3 months to build all of them. In the end, that's 24/7 on a 32 thread dedicated build server as well. It took a long time, and then we had a beta period, and then we finally released in sort of November.
What was I saw you sent those pictures of the kernel manager. We'll have a look at those in just a second. What was the reason for the swap from an Ubuntu base to a Debian base?
Yeah, so basically, on Ubuntu, you had snaps, which everyone hates. And if you say you're Ubuntu based and still have snaps, you're instantly disqualified from the distro market. So, to improve performance,
Mm-hmm.
uh, desktop integration, and not get bad mouthed by people,
Mm-hmm.
we ha- we we just made efforts to
Mm-hmm.
uh, take them back to deb packages. Some packages like Firefox, uh, converting them was like easy.
Mm-hmm.
Some things like the KDE Discover Snap backend kept forcing itself upon people and nuking stuff when there isn't snaps,
Mm-hmm.
and other applications that were gradually getting snapified.
Mm-hmm.
Chromium was really annoying with that. So basically, like, someone suggested we recompile the stuff to be all with native packages in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to hold on. I'm getting a call.
So I'll take over then. So
Okay.
the other thing we were aiming to do, and we'd started doing, was to become a rolling distro rather than fixed release cycles.
Mm.
And obviously, Ubuntu is very much a fixed release cycle
Right.
distro. And it would mean like we weren't on LTS either, so it was like twice a year we'd have like a couple of weeks where we'd just have to like hammer out whatever weird updates Canonical randomly decided to do in the latest version of Ubuntu and make it work with Pika, and then write custom upgrade scripts every time to make sure that
Where
people
was
could
I?
upgrade.
Where was I? Yes. Also, back then we had an eye out for the PikaOS CPU optimizations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot about the CatchOS CPU optimizations. What is the deal there? Like, what actually is the value with that? Like, what have they actually done on their distro or on their
Like
kernel?
this. Yeah, so basically they're like GCC
Mm-hmm.
and whatever compilers compile options. By default, x86 has like 4 subsets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's an x84 v1 that works on all x86 64 CPUs, from like the Athlon x64 till the latest Intel or AMD device.
Oh, V1 goes
CPU
back even further than that.
V1, yeah. But basically, it's way slower and less efficient on
Mhm.
the more recent you go.
Yeah, yeah.
V2 is like, I think, like first generation Intel CPUs or
Let me
something.
V2.
Pull up the
Yeah,
x86
I've got the
circus.
Wikipedia open right now. It's theoretically the, what is that? 2008 the Nahelem chips, which is prior to the renaming they did. And then AMD Bulldozer, AMD Jaguar. So around 2008 or so.
Yeah. So basically, the x86 v2 programs compiled with it will not function on pre 2008 CPUs,
Mm-hmm.
but are faster on post 2008 CPUs than v1.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing carries over to v3 and v4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
V4 codes runs the fastest on the latest AMD processors, but will not work with anything like even 14th gen doesn't have V4 on all chips.
Yeah, V4's a really weird one because that's no one can really agree what it is. For anyone who's not really aware of the CPU version levels thing, this wasn't a thing that was there from the start. This was applied retroactively. I believe, I want to say something like 2020, something like that. It's a fairly recent concept. So it makes enough sense for the older chips, but with the newer chips where the features are still being added, no one's really sure on what they want to be in V4. So optimizing for V4, even if you have a chip newer than, like theoretically things newer than 2017 should be V4. But there's a lot of random chips where they're missing things like AVX 512 or random other features where it would fall out of that category.
I think the main issue
yeah,
there is Intel removing AVX 512 from their desktop processors, so
Yeah.
that kind
yeah.
of
So
screws them over there.
here's something funny. Like the Intel 11th Gen was V4 was like V4 compatible.
Mhm.
They took it out in 12 and 13 and 14th Gen. Like 11th Gen was V4, but 13th Gen wasn't.
Yeah.
My current CPU is an i9 1300H.
Mhm.
So basically, like the decision was done for us for which level we would initially use.
Mhm.
Like V3 was the minimum, or I wouldn't be able to use it.
Yeah, V3 is a pretty sensible baseline. There's not, at least for what most people are using, there aren't modern chips being made that are V2. Yeah, there are if you want to be very technical, there are chips being made, they're just not consumer chips.
I think
Like most
only
console.
2022 onwards, I think there were some Intel Atoms that didn't,
Oh,
for some reason, have AVX2
yeah, I forgot
until
about those.
2022.
I forgot.
Oh,
Like
God help you if
basically,
you have one of those, though.
like basically for most consumers, like most people have fourth gen as a minimum,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
fourth
yeah.
gen, like that's pretty old, and it's V3 compatible. So it was like the perfect compatibility to performance ratio x86 V3.
Mm-hmm.
The other optimization is like PGO and LTO. These are complex linker things that even I don't understand. They do boost performance quite a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a simple thing. Yeah, back to what I was saying about the Ubuntu thingy. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, we had an eye for them. So you had to modify the source code and stuff to be desnapified. Add the compile stuff to that, the compile flags for the CPU optimization. After that, you rebuild every single Ubuntu package.
Mm-hmm.
We said to ourselves, if we're gonna rebuild everything from scratch, why not move to Debian and just bump the sources, and then we don't have to edit anything?
Mm-hmm.
It made perfect sense, so we went with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You sent these pictures of the kernel manager before, so let's bring those ones up as well. Let's see. Okay, so the first one we have here, this is showing, what do we have? We have the, oh, so okay, this is showing the version that's running if there's if there's like a newer version available.
Yeah, if my
Okay.
version was up to date, all the badges would be blue.
Mm.
But since I'm behind, they're red.
Why do you have the SCED option there as well? That seems like a weird thing to expose to like on a gaming distro.
Like, so, like you can use Lavit for performance to battery or something extreme.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Rust.
Mhm.
Like it's exposed to use, and it's pretty simple to switch over.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
We
schedules
do
help.
we do also have a thing called Falcon D that automatically can switch to SharedX schedulers for specific games based on profiles
Oh,
when
I
it
didn't
detects
know
they're
this was a
running.
thing that anyone was actually doing.
As well as we only have it. It's only currently we only use SharedX ones for handheld profiles at the moment.
Mhm.
Still trying to work out what the best combination is for regular gaming. Falcon D does other things as well, like it does switches your governor to performance.
Sorry, what was
If you're
that
on
called?
Falcon D.
Falcon D. Can
Yeah,
I?
I can
It's
link you to our wiki
it's
page.
it's
Uh,
basically our game mode. On a laptop, Intel laptop CPUs where you have P cores and E cores, it's also sets the games to use the P cores.
mm.
It's basically our more advanced version of game mode. Like there's game
Oh.
But
mode run, here
the
there's Falcon.
the Yeah, but this is Falcon D is different because it's based on profiles. You don't have to mess around with your command options in Steam. It just detects that a Proton game is running,
Mhm.
and then it will load the default Proton profile.
Okay.
So it's like a lot less hassle for users.
Huh. Because I've had a developer involved in in SketXT on the show who was initially like when I had him on, he was like, oh well, there's not really much of a reason for like a regular user to care about this. It's more of a like a server big really care about optimization sort of stuff where it like on like a regular consumer scale it doesn't really have much of an effect. So I wasn't even aware there was stuff going on in this space.
Yeah, so one thing I've been benchmarking is BPF land specifically is the scheduler, and on my 9950X, I get better 1% loads in most games using BPF land than using BOR, which is our default CPU scheduler.
Better by how
Does-
much?
So the main game I was benchmarking went from 40 FPS to 60 FPS, so quite a considerable bump.
Okay.
There's obviously some kind. It's a UE5 engine game on Nvidia, so
Right.
it isn't without issues in itself.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was like papering over some of the issues there. Strangely, it only improved it in GNOME, Cosmic, and KDE. Hyperland already had good 1% lows, so a win for Hyperland there.
Okay, that's weird.
But I did the same test on my 9950 X3D,
Mhm.
and it didn't help at all. So it is
Right, it's gonna
very
be
specific. So these profiles are things that you still need some knowledge of to edit. But we can't currently set them globally for ShedX anyway. We do for other things like we also, if you have a dual CCD X3D chip, we set it to favor the cache rather than the frequency cores.
Mhm.
Which Windows has historically had a nightmare about, but they're perfectly fine on Pico OS by default.
Are you aware of the storyline of us splitting off Nobara, then creating PikaOS and meeting Ferreo?
I don't think so. I'm aware that there were like there was like a split off of that, but I don't know much of the story.
Yeah, so basically, like I had my old computer had an AMD GPU, an RX 580.
Mhm.
Uh, Whenever I tried to record on OBS, the VAPI driver for that card was absolute garbage.
Mhm.
So basically, we needed the proprietary AMF thingy, the encoder, to
Mhm.
work. Basically, I worked on repackaging them to be to, to work on Fedora. I was a Fedora user.
Mhm. Mhm.
I was trying out Fedora. So basically, I made a little spec sheet. It turns the driver into something that you load with an environment variable.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when you do that, the AMF encoder, which is way better than the VAPI one for the RX 580, becomes available in OBS Studio.
Mhm.
The VAPI encoder has currently improved for post Polaris cards.
Mhm.
It is still garbage, but back then the
Yes.
VAPI encoder was garbage for everyone.
Uh-huh.
Basically, I was on the Glorious Eggroll Discord server for Proton.
Mhm.
Uh, Somebody was trying to use my spec sheets on like an RDNA2 card,
Mhm.
and they didn't work. GE said it's just broken. I told them no, it works perfectly fine here. Basically, we did a lot of debugging. It was like libdrm and firmware mismatches.
Mhm.
So I just So I just like fixed those up and started maintaining them and the Rockham Compute module for Nobara. I was like the AMD driver maintainer. Something like that. Uh, Things were going fine until the day Fedora shot themselves in the foot and did the codec hell thingy.
Ah. I remember
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So Glory Segrol, I think, well, so Glory Segrol was trying to find a fix before like RPM Fusion did the free world thingy,
Mhm.
and he didn't find anything that would take off the US bullshit of his name.
Yeah, sorry, for anyone who's unaware of that, can you just briefly explain the codec thing? We probably should mention that.
So basically, there are software patents that are explicitly strict in the US. Uh, so most distros just ignore them
Mhm.
o- or don't have to deal with them at all because they are not US based.
Mhm.
Now, Fedora is US based and simply ignored them, and no one went for them.
Mhm.
But basically, someone decided to shoot themselves in the foot and announce it, and then disable it.
Mhm.
So it caused a massive issue where, like, all Fedora and Fedora-based distros lost hardware encoding because Fedora decided to shoot themselves in the foot. Yes, back on our story. So basically, GE like gave up on trying to do free world thingies himself,
Mhm.
and he was considering rebasing the distro.
Mhm.
Uh, he needed to rebase on something that isn't US based since they don't have to deal with all these patents. They can handle it for him.
Mhm.
We agreed that I will see how we can port the Nobara changes into an Ubuntu base
Mhm.
while he tests out an OpenSUSE base. So, uh, we went on, ported the changes.
Mhm.
His OpenSUSE one was experiencing many difficulties, and it was not great. He was trying to patch it. Mine was going pretty well, and I was adding more features to it. There was something for GNOME.
Mhm.
Variable refresh rate wasn't merged in,
Mhm.
and while moving to an Ubuntu base, I found that GNOME shell was way smoother than Fedora.
Hmm.
So I opened it up, and basically Ubuntu has the triple buffer batch.
I believe has that patch been like
I think GNOME
merged now?
48 now has it.
Yeah, I remember hearing a story about this.
Yeah, anyway, this is like GNOME
Yeah.
45 days.
Yeah.
So
Yes, it has been merged as of 48. Yes.
basically, so I said this is would be so cool. I just add what Nobara does to GNOME, which is variable refresh rate. On top of that, it's gonna be so cool.
Mm.
Yeah, but the patches conflict massively.
Mhm.
This is where Ferreo jumped in. He was helpful. We managed to get something working.
Mhm.
Uh, it, it was like the patch, the codes were so messy. We had to do some scripting and dual binaries. But anyways, for the user side, there was a variable refresh rate session. They use that, and everything is great.
Mhm.
Uh, so that's where I met Ferreo.
Mhm.
Anyways, I was almost done with my Ubuntu experiment, and the OpenSUSE thingy, I think it failed.
Mhm.
But then, but it was a hard decision for GE to make. And then RPM Fusion just fixed the problem. So the crisis was averted.
Mhm.
And now I had this fully patched in distros with more features that I needed to do something with.
And
So
then
I
it just kept going, basically.
it just got rebranded to PikaOS and kept going. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. We were still talking about the kernel manager before. The second screenshot we have here is for actually selecting the scheduler you want to use. So there's just basically like a list of them here. Is there any maybe value in like providing some description of what each of them are, or is this like a very technical thing that you would need to mess around with on your local system?
There was a plan to add descriptions, but I basically forgot about it. I got busy with other things.
Uh-huh. Fair enough. But as was being said before, you probably would still want to go and test them yourself anyway, just so you know if it actually affects your system or not.
Yeah, but adding descriptions would definitely help users.
Uh,
It was on the plan. I just forgot about it.
Fair enough. Then the last screenshot we have here is basically just updating kernel versions. Nothing super crazy there. But you can roll back to other ones, which is cool.
Basically, this is more useful for rolling back, because the new kernel will appear in the update manager.
Right.
You can update from here, but like the primary purpose of this is being able to roll back. Yeah, that's it.
That is always nice to have there as an option. I always recommend to people keep an LTS kernel around just in case something goes wrong. But having a nice kernel rollback system as well also just makes things quite easy to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have to ask. I'm sure you've been asked this many times. Why do we need another Linux distro? Why do we need another gaming distro, right? There's so many of them out there that immediately people are going to ask, okay, well, do we really need another one? Or would it make sense to, provide scripts to put these changes on top of something else? Like, obviously the distro exists and you've continued it, so there's some reason why you've felt like this is the direction to go with it.
So for scripting, this is like an entirely different base on the binary level. It has optimizations, so there is no scripting there. Also, PikaOS specifically, like there is no other Debian distro that had like KDE 6.2 a few months back, and that this is genuinely something new to the Debian space. It's way more up to date, so it has a use, and all of those gaming things just add more flavor to it. This is the PikaOS specific answer, but as a general answer, when you have open source software, you're gonna get a million forks for people making something that's absolutely perfect for them. PikaOS is like the perfect workflow for me. It's like it when I need to install, I package custom stuff and I can just sudo apt install them, and they are managed by app.
I guess just to expand on that, a few of the things that we do a bit differently are we don't use Grub as a bootloader. We use Refined, which means that you don't have to mess around regenerating Grub profiles and all that nonsense, and it just automatically detects dual boot and stuff like that. We use a different init ramifest generator, which don't want to get too technical here, but
No, feel free to get technical if you want to.
It's called Booster. It's available on Arch as well, but not by default. It's just it results in smaller files as well as faster booting ones because it's multi-threaded. We also have like a out-of-the-box Hyperland setup, which is extremely rare on Debian. Which again is fully up to date, latest Hyperland.
Well, on the topic of desktops, you mentioned KDE and Hyperland. What desktop offerings are available? I believe you guys have GNOME as well.
Yeah, we have GNOME, KDE,
Mm-hmm.
Hyperland, and we also have a Cosmic that we don't have an ISO for yet, but we do have a meta package. You can just do a one line install of to get the whole Cosmic package.
Is that pulling from latest tagged?
Usually, well, the way Cosmic does it's a bit weird.
That's fair. Yeah.
They don't really tag properly. They just kind of have the epoch with the submodules. I tend to look for what they're actually updating and pull things in a bit earlier even before the next release, depending on what they are. Obviously test them first and
Sure.
make sure they're good. So it really depends on where we are in terms of their last release cycle versus when we last checked what they've been cooking over there.
Mm-hmm. What are your general thoughts on the state of Cosmic as it is now?
I think it's a lot better than it started out as.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, my main desktop is Hyperland, so it's a very different experience. So it doesn't really fit my workflow anyway, even in tiling mode. But for a predominantly floating based one, I'm quite liking it. It'll be interesting to see where they go for extensibility, because things like the applets at the moment are all just loaded in via their repo, right? We haven't seen the applet store or anything that they've said that are going to come down the line, which will be interesting because obviously with GNOME being the kind of main one that it's targeted against because it's got that similar design philosophy in terms of how it looks, they're getting more and more in that they don't want you to mess with their design and their philosophy, but it'll be interesting to see if they go that route with Cosmic or not. At the moment, you can't tweak it too much outside of the theme.
Cosmo actually has a lot more tweaking than you would expect, but most of it isn't through the GUI tooling. It's through config files that currently have zero documentation. So,
yeah, I was struggling with that, figuring out documentation. Just simple things like adding environment variables on startup and things. So the session is kind of just a pain.
Yeah, I would expect a lot of that stuff to start coming in the beta section once we've hit a feature freeze, which theoretically should happen sometime soon-ish. We'll see when it happens. I've talked to Carl a number of times about how he should stop saying dates because he is very optimistic. Because the beta was supposed
to be Q1, yeah.
I think release was supposed to be Q1. Or maybe... No, release was supposed to be Q2. And beta was supposed to be, I think, March. Something like that. No. No.
It's always a difficult thing. Probably, like people are gonna pester you for dates, and you want to give one, but yeah, just don't. It's ready when it's ready.
Yeah, I think it is far better to take that approach. Otherwise, you run into a KDE 4 situation where it's a different reason for why it happened. They tagged a dev release as 4.0, which was a horrible mistake. They're like, oh, well, we tagged it as 4.0, but we didn't actually think people would review it like it was 4.0. Like, what did you think? Like, I don't know what they were thinking back then. But with Cosmic, yeah, I've been using it. I've probably submitted, I don't know, close to 100 issues on the project over the times I've been using it. It's generally getting better. And a lot of things, like, they recently added a lot of really nice accessibility settings, like colorblind settings, things like that. And then I ran into a regression where their portal broke, and now if you move a window, it retains momentum when you stop moving. So windows now just vibrate in the capture, which is really good. But you know, that is the fun of the alpha software.
I think for where
Yeah,
they are in the development cycle, it's quite impressive what they've managed to
for
achieve
sure.
so far.
Absolutely.
For me, like basically, I got Cosmic, and it had a bug where it could not display on my type of iGPU,
Mhm.
and I just forgot about it.
Fair
Lol.
enough. Fair enough.
Anyway, I forgot to show you about our custom installer.
Okay.
It's not really fully documented, but here's the whatever is documented.
Oh, so you're not using
Like,
something that's just, you know, the same as everyone else, where it's like, oh, we're just gonna use the the Ubuntu installer, we're gonna use the Fedora installer, things like that. So you actually
We were
built your own
originally-
one.
Basically, Debian
Uh-huh.
has that like offline full screen installer that sucks.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we didn't, and the Ubiquiti couldn't handle our full feature set.
Mhm.
It's really tuned for Ubuntu like things specifically.
Sure. Yeah.
We were back on our Ubuntu days. We were using Calamares.
Mmm.
We used it for a little bit, but let me put it like this. Ferreo put it like this, and I totally agree. It was easier for us to write a whole entire installer than deal with the configuration issues of Calamares.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically,
because-
this is like our glibadwaita installer, also written in Rust. It's highly inspired by the Vanilla OS installer.
I thought it
On
looked
the like
familiar.
on the GUI side.
Mhm.
And apparently, it's the fastest Linux installer. Like that's what I'm being told. Like I think it installs in like a minute and a half the entire distro.
Wow.
It's on my system from start to finish, you can do it in about 9 seconds from boot to, if you know what buttons to press to get through all the like typing in the boxes. and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
But yeah, it's ridiculously fast.
Also, it like
Which-
has features that I have never ever seen in other installers.
Okay.
The manual partitioning, it allows you to unlock your locks device and just use that instead of having to format it. That's one.
Okay.
It also You also can use BTRFS subvolumes without deleting them in the manual installer. That's something we really struggled with Calamares. It was basically impossible to get working for
Mm-hmm.
manual installation. I think like
It also looks a lot
I think
cleaner than Calamares, to be honest.
these features are like only supported by Fedora's Anaconda installer.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing else support them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and we just haven't.
most distros, the installer is fine if you're doing a clean install. It's when you're not doing a clean install that you start running into weird oddities. Like Ubuntu's installer is fine, Calamares is fine for a clean install.
Yeah, that's true.
I think even ours people do struggle with the manual install sometimes, just because it's in the name, I guess. Manual. There's a lot of manual steps you have to do. If you miss one, then it might not work.
Right, that's
But
understandable. Yeah.
the fully automated flow is one of the easiest I've ever used.
Mm-hmm. And this is another example of a page where someone needs to just sit down and add some of the cool stuff to it, because right now what you have, it explains the basic process, but doesn't show you some of the nice stuff you're mentioning here, like the way you can handle BTFS subvolumes and other things which are nice to have.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, it was just kind of thrown up to have a page there.
Yeah, we really need a documentation team, actually.
Yeah, when I was looking into a lot of the opinions of PikaOS, like looking through Reddit threads, like, hey, would you recommend PikaOS? All this sort of stuff. Most of the comments I was seeing, none of this stuff was mentioned. It was just, oh, it's another gaming distro. Oh, you could use Nobara, use Bazite, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with those projects, but nobody had any idea about any of the cool stuff this project's doing.
Yeah, that's true. We're basically too busy developing it to begin documenting.
So if anyone wants to get involved in documentation, you guys definitely would like that.
Yeah, just ping us on our Discord, please.
Yeah, it would be greatly appreciated.
I will leave those links down below for anyone who does want to get involved in that. Now, speaking of things that are not mentioned where they should be mentioned, the package manager as well.
Oh yeah. Basically, as I told you, like, why make another distro? Like, it needs to perfectly fit you. Remember how I used to be a Nobara contributor? Well, I still am, so I need a Fedora development environment. And I don't really want to dual boot. So basically, I have APX of Vanilla OS just to load the Fedora environment and develop stuff for Nobara. So basically, and since you have Flatpaks and the app packages, you have 3 package managers now in the distro. Picman, something Ferreo created, just puts them all in one place, where it's way easier to manage. That's on the CLI side. The GUI side, it's not Pika Update Manager. We called it Picman Update Manager. And also, it's supposed to have better features, but we're still developing that. Currently, it just simply wraps around apt, but we are currently developing an ALA-like backend for it, so it should be way faster both in the backend and GUI. So use Picman, not apt, whenever you do that.
I'm really liking that I'm seeing distros build off of the packaging bases that are here. So for a long time, every distro, it's been, it's a Debian based system, so everything is done through apt. But we're starting to see distros that are experimenting with how you handle package management, not building a entirely new solution where it's using some new packaging standard, but using the base that is there and then trying to resolve issues or trying to add functionality that doesn't really fit in that base package management you would normally see. Obviously the example everyone would normally go to is something like a vanilla OS, which does a lot of additional things over what you would normally see with a package manager. And I think this is one of the areas where these smaller distros can start to experiment with things and really bring something unique to the space that isn't just I think a lot of distros frankly are just skins on top of their base. But stuff like this actually provides real additional value.
I
Yeah, I think
sent you like that Picman help page. You can see what features are available, what you
Yeah.
can do.
Thank you for that.
when Pika started, we could probably have been called just another gaming distro that's just a skin over Ubuntu or whatever. But we've been building it for 2 years now, and if we can improve things, we will. There's no reason to just use what's there when it doesn't work that well. Like apt is great, but it can be slow. It downloads one file at once, which is not the greatest thing ever when you've got people with gigabit connections.
Does it not have? Wait, really? Because Archie's had this. Archie's had this for like 5 years now.
Yeah, currently apt will only download from more than one file at once if they're from different repositories, like different repositories. So if you've got a big update from the same repository, it doesn't help. That's one of the things we're looking to improve in our app, the app changes we're doing. I think the philosophy is they don't want to like cause excessive load onto the repository or something, but it is the last what I read in some of the app docs, but it doesn't make any sense to me really. Not now. It probably did like 10 years ago or something.
Yeah, I would understand if they said, oh, the multi-threaded downloads are unstable and we're not sure if it's going to download things correctly. Sure, that's fair. But additional load would be that seems like a weird explanation. Like, if Arch can manage to make it work, I'm sure they can manage to make it work.
Yeah, the way that the repositories are structured is a lot more complicated for Debian than it is for either Arch or Fedora, which doesn't help. But there's no fundamental reason why you can't. Nala, for example, completely swaps out the download step and does it itself, and then it'll install via libapt. So that's essentially what we're trying to achieve as well.
Well, that is cool to see. Like, again, I do think package management tools like this actually are really cool. Now, you mentioned some of the features it has. I had to scroll through here. It's not just like apt and Flatpaks here. You can do AUR packages. You can do Fedora packages. You can do Alpine packages.
Yeah, that's the APX things I needed for the Fedora developments. These all are based on it.
An APX. What was the project here? Right, that's from Vanilla OS. Yes. That name was ringing a bell. I couldn't remember what it was though. So that's over in the Vanilla OS project then.
Yeah, it's good, and no need to reinvent the wheel.
Right. Yeah, and this is built off of another project, that being DistroBox. DistroBox really changed the way that a lot of people can approach packages and Linux distros, because you can always do this stuff with Docker if you really knew what you were doing. But Docker is not approachable for a regular user. It requires a lot of work to understand how Docker functions. And then DistroBox came along, made it dead simple. Then you have things like Apex, which make it even simpler. And then you integrate that into other things. And now you have a case where for applications you want to install, the base you have doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is a very nice world to be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Where else what else do you think we should address here? I've got a couple of other things I do want to mention, but if there's anything that you specifically want to touch on, maybe that we hadn't brought up yet, let me know.
Let me think. I mean, we talked about the origins, what we are doing, and our current issues with like documentation and stuff.
I guess I can give a bit of insight into the infrastructure of Pico OS because
Okay.
obviously we switched to being a rolling distro that no longer just uses an upstream existing repo. So we need to monitor package changes and build them and then ship them. We basically wrote our own package builder that leverages Git, Git actions that periodically every hour scans Debian SID and some experimental packages because we use a mix of both. Checks against our repo to see which ones we've recently built. If there are updates, it queues them, and then it just goes through building them one at a time, which works pretty well most of the time, except when it's like GCC and it takes an hour and a half to build. But otherwise, yeah. So we've had to build custom software basically that I can link you to our. You can actually monitor it. We have a dashboard that's available.
Okay.
So you can like look at the queue and stuff. And there's like a list of the packages. These are source packages.
Okay. Current 41,000 successfully built. Oh god.
There are. I am working on improvements to this. It's not. This build is not. It's never finished.
Sure.
Things like i386 packages are a bit of a nightmare because we don't want to ship. We are an x64 only distribution, with the exception of i386 ones needed for content creation and gaming.
Yeah.
Basically. But then that means that we have to selectively build only the ones we need of that, and that gets a little bit complicated.
Wait, what?
It's a bit like I think Ubuntu does that as well. So,
what content creation ones are there? Because obviously I know about the gaming ones are there, like the Steam stuff you need. But what content creation one are there?
Stuff like FFmpeg, because if you want to. Well, Cosmo probably knows more about that than me, to be fair.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
I think it's
I did.
around.
Yeah, I decided to add the OBS, not the OBS, the Dev Multipedia, the Dev Multipedia repo as a target for our optimized builds. For basically two reasons. It's basically a whole bunch of multimedia packages that are already updated to the very latest. But so that's cool and better for our users and less effort for us to update them. And on top of that, Deb Multimedia tends to enable all the compile features for them. So basically, for FFmpeg on the Debian build, you don't have the AMF encoder feature enabled, or CUDA or whatever, like OBS or FFmpeg build options. Deb Multimedia just tries to enable the absolute maximum amount of build options, which is very helpful to users.
So on oh, go on.
I think the main thing we need the 32-bit libraries for is like if you're trying to hook into and record like a 32-bit native game, that kind of thing. I don't know why you'd have one of those, but it's weird Steam annoying stuff for older games.
Right. So on the topic of package building, just the fact that you guys are doing package building is already something that is very different from a lot of the a lot of the distros, like the build off one of these bases, like just that by itself. And some of these distros, like Endeavor, they will build certain additional packages, but most of what they do comes directly from Arch. Whereas here, you're actually, it effectively is a separate distro. Like, it is building off of those packages coming from Debian, but it's not just what Debian has packaged.
Yeah, so we do use their source packages where for the base where we can, but we do also have our own Git instance with around 250 things that we've either written or packaged manually ourselves as well. So it is a mix of both, but again, it's Debian SID mixed with experimental as well. So there isn't even a Debian flavor that matches what our base is.
Right.
Yeah, we're not even ABI compatible with Debian.
Because that's another thing that I've seen come up. Like, oh, well, if it's Debian based, because people seem to think when you say Debian based, they assume that you're talking about Debian stable, which I like to refer to as Debian stale, because that's what it is most of the time. But that's not at all what this is.
Yep, that's not what this is at all.
And we even get things quicker than like Arch sometimes and stuff. So it's like it depends on what it is and how much we prioritize it. Especially things like graphics drivers, the program languages we use. We tend to get a lot earlier kernels, all that kind of thing. We get much earlier than even Arch.
That's not necessarily a good thing every time, though.
I mean, we do test before we push things. We don't just randomly push things up, but we're behind on the major things, like desktop environments, because we are still beholden to Debian Upstream packaging them, and they're not for outside of GNOME. There aren't that many people that do the packaging.
Right.
Like I don't think they only have a couple of KDE packages, for example. Which is crazy given the amount of packages that KDE has.
Yeah, I think KDE has the Debian KDE team has like only one active maintainer for the entire Qt and KDE package set.
So we can be a little bit slower, but that's kind of the best way to do it, right? Because your desktop environment you want to be stable.
Sure.
Whilst things like drivers you can just roll back, and you've got things like we ship Mesa Git as well as Mesa Stable, that kind of thing, right? So you can be on the bleeding edge, or you can choose to be more stable, depending what you want. So it's up to the user at that point.
Yeah, for Mesa Git, you can actually go to the device manager screenshot. You can see it as an option.
On device manager, where is that one? That one?
Yes. Yeah, device man.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
And then I think that's the other thing is testing a DE takes us longer because obviously there's only a couple of us, and we do have people in our community that do help us test as well, which is great. And we do ship betas sometimes and things like that. So it can take us a little bit longer for the larger things like desktop environments, but generally we're way faster than Debian, and Debian stable, and way faster than Ubuntu. But I mean, it's not all about number go big, right?
Right.
You need to be a stable base as well. You don't want to be disrupting users. Don't break your users. There's no need for that.
When something does go wrong, how do you guys approach that? Do you send out a notification to people on the Discord? What's the protocol you usually follow here?
We'll generally do a Discord announcement. It depends on what the issue is. If we get something we can just like roll back a package or something, we'll just roll back a package, or we'll fix forward. It's pretty rare that we catastrophically break everybody.
Right.
I can't think since we've switched on the Debian base. I can't think of a time we've done that, to be honest. Our Discord is active. We have support sections that we maintain, and we're constantly helping people. But yeah, the main at this point, the main distribution of information is Discord, which probably isn't great. We do have the changelog on the website as well, but that only because we're rolling, we can't list every package that changes.
Right.
So we just list the main ones there when we do a new ISO build generally. It'll be interesting to see how we can improve that going forwards. This could do things like a mailing list, but then it feels a bit like 1980s at that point, and I don't know. If anyone has any great ideas on how relying on Discord doesn't feel like the best way.
Yeah, I guess you could always
small project.
Like you could always just put like a little notification on the website as well. Like just mirror whatever notification you would have put on Discord.
But who's constantly visiting the website?
That's true, but if you have a problem and if you sort of make it clear that things will be posted on the website, there is a news feed on the website, then if something goes wrong, that would be one of the first places people would start to go.
Yeah, and maybe a status page, I guess, that, as we found out with Discord earlier, they're very useful when things do go wrong.
Yeah. I saw... I sent the message being like, hey, you're ready to start. Literally, when I pressed enter, my Discord client died. Like, oh, lovely. Perfect timing.
Yeah, I mean, it's better timing than my log fucking exploding.
Yeah, it was a good start we had today. Very good start we had. Like, so regarding the whole notification thing, this is one of the things I like to discuss because I have been quite critical of the way that, like, Arch handles it. Arch will only put a notification on the website on the most critical of critical things. Even when there are cases where most people are affected by it and most people need to do some manual intervention, they just don't mention anything. And it ends up being that the unofficial channels, like posts on the forums or like the Reddit, end up being a better newsfeed than the newsfeed of the distro itself.
I guess the other option is having like an in-distro notification thing, but then
that feels a bit weird.
like. Yeah, that's kind of Microsofty, isn't it? It just feels a bit invasive at that point. So we don't have any telemetry or anything running. We don't even have no donation pop-ups or anything. Nothing like. Which we have a donation button in our welcome app that you're welcome to press. Other than that.
Yeah, I think the only thing that really needs to be there, like full notifications that's too much. But having a news feed of some sort that people can go to, I think that's fine. Like if people, even if you wanted to have like a PikaOS news app, right? Like I think that would be fine as something that people could choose to go and open when they want to. But
maybe if we added a status page to the website, we could then have a tab in the welcome app that just loads that in like a GTK web view.
I guess that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I could add that.
So let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk a bit about the Hyperland edition. So what do you guys actually do with Hyperland to make it approachable? Because it's a tiling window manager. These can be, especially if you're dealing with them out of the box, can be a bit of a problem to initially get running. Initially get, like, maybe not running, but get it into a state where it's comfortable.
Yeah, so the Hyperland version is kind of my baby,
Mhm.
being a Hyperland main. We approach it a couple of ways. So, like the bar we use is quick shell, and it's a custom bar that we wrote.
Mhm.
It's not it's not just way bar skinned. That means we can tailor it to what we think people want and what people need, and only have those things. Same with like the application launcher, we use Walker, just because it's feature rich. We also have quite a large amount of things like window rules automatically set up, and we have like a NVIDIA defaults if you're installing via the NVIDIA ISO that sets some of the environment variables up for NVIDIA for you, because that can be a bit of a pain on Hyperland. I didn't want to go like full GUI settings apps and helper apps and stuff, because I think the idea of if you're wanting to switch to tiling window manager, you need to be embracing that workflow rather than just trying to turn it into like a weird version of floating.
Right.
Which there's nothing wrong with those approaches, but I think there is kind of a middle ground you can achieve. Like our default Hyperland package, like desktop package, just includes a lot of like a file manager, a GUI file manager, and
yeah, that's reasonable. Yeah,
fonts, icons, UTK themes, all the kind of stuff that's just a chore to set up. Without doing too much, because we want you to get used to using it and understanding it, rather than just providing everything for you and you're not actually learning anything.
Right, this is something I see with a lot of because a lot of distros have had like i3 spins for a long time, or maybe you'll see like an awesome WM spin, things like that, and it ends up basically being they're trying to build a desktop environment out of a window manager, and some people like that experience. So if that's what you want to go with, like, hey, that's cool. But I do appreciate the trying to keep that idea of what a window manager is just at its core, as a way that it's approachable, but not a whole different experience built on top of it.
Yeah, we are also leaning into the hyper ecosystem as well. So there's like things like hyper idles automatically set up, hyper lock, hyper paper, that kind of all those kind of things that if you were doing it manually, you'd be like, oh, why doesn't my screen lock after a while? That kind of thing. If you're new to a tiler. But yeah, we don't want to. I don't want to do everything for everybody, because I mean, at the end of the day, people aren't going to want my exact setup anyway, right? So there's no point just including everything for everyone.
Right.
Just use GNOME at that point.
With the GNOME and KDE editions, are those like how are those configured? Are they relatively clean? Are they themed in a certain way? Like, what's been done with those?
Oh yeah, it handled the GNOME and KDE editions. Basically GNOME, it used to be themed, and KDE used to be themed way back. KDE had that dirty Quantum issue where it would stress the GPU. So we dropped theming along with CachyOS. I think it's fixed now. GNOME, we dropped theming when they added a new accent color system.
Sorry if you can hear a bunch of birds flying over. I don't know if that's coming through.
No, it's not coming through.
Good.
The audio is clean.
Okay, cool.
The GNOME edition has a program called GNOME Pika GNOME Layouts.
Okay.
It basically was used to configure the accent color of our custom theme, and with a single button, it would configure your extensions to be like Windows 10, 11, macOS, Ubuntu's Unity, revert back to the GNOME experience. It's inspired by the Zorian OS thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but now it's only for this layout and the accent buttons are just another copy of the ones in GNOME system settings. Yeah, like we really like themes and making the distro pop even more. But there's not a lot of GTK4 themes that are that are standard compliant.
Right.
We used to use like themes from Vinceline. Vince Line, whatever he's the one that makes White Sir. We used
which
his
theme, sorry?
Orcus. White Sir.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah, but we didn't use that one. We used the Orchis. It looked cool, but when GNOME got to version like 46, his CSS were way off standard. Like stuff like dark mode wouldn't work normally, and the new accent model it doesn't work. Like you have to change the CSS for both of these things in GNOME 46 and 47 now. So we dropped it. We dropped the eye candy to have a better default experience. So basically, the DEs are stuck right now, but they weren't always like this.
Yeah, especially with GNOME, like that's kind of the direction they want you to go in anyway. I would not be surprised if sometime in the relatively near future, I would not be surprised if GTK 5 does not support user theming. If that happens, outside of like accent colors, if that happens, I don't think anyone would be surprised.
Time to switch to Qt7.
Fork off of GTK 3. That's what distros like Cinnamon are working on.
I didn't like that because like JTK4 is like still themable. You could just perhaps improve the standard. And GTK3 like is an older technology. The GTK4 renderer is way better. Like fork it, like at least fork it GTK4. Why GTK3?
Yeah, well, I don't know. A lot of people felt like the GTK 4 was a big break in direction. Like GTK 1, 2, 3, it felt like a continuous line, and then 4 for a lot of people felt like they had a very different focus. The focus was no longer just on the desktop. Now you had that mobile focus there as well, and you're gonna have mobile design language going into it, which I get as a complaint. I personally don't really use libidwaiter applications especially, but mostly don't really use GTK4 stuff at this point. But that's just me. I'm not gonna tell someone not to use it. If they like the direction things are going, hey, more power to you. Do that.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I mean, as a developer, both libadwaita and GTK are still themable.
Yeah, they are.
So as a code base, like I would start modifying that. Like it has a Vulkan render, and the fonts became better and such, and it has way better Wayland integration. Like, why did you go with HK3? I was confused when you covered that.
Covered what? The
Mint forking GTK3.
Oh, that, yeah. Right, that happened a while ago. It's always fun when people remember the videos I make more than I do. I forgot I even made that. Yeah, I get it, right? Like like Mint likes to be very slow and particular about how they move, and they never want to have a big UI upset that is gonna break from what they currently have.
Yeah, I mean that's like the Mint ideology, which is perfect for giving Linux to your grandma.
Yeah. Hey, and there is a place for that. Like,
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Mint has always been like a really popular early recommendation. I get it. It looks like Windows, especially during the days of Windows 7. It really looked like Windows 7. So it was a very easy shift to make. Hey, if it has a place clearly and people like it, so again, I'm not going to tell people not to use it. It's not my kind of thing, but I know a lot of people that started on Cinnamon, even if they didn't start on Cinnamon on Mint, that just kind of like that experience.
Yeah, that's true.
So, one thing I did actually want to talk about, this isn't really directly focused on the distro itself, but I want to talk about the idea of distro reviews. Because I personally don't make them, and I feel like a lot of the distro reviews out there are fairly surface level. Not really looking, it's like, hey, look at the wallpapers we have, look at these very early things you're gonna see, but a lot of them don't really look deeply into the tech behind the distros. If I was to do them, that's sort of the direction I would prefer to take. But as I was saying, a lot of distros don't really have any tech behind them. It's kind of just, in a lot of cases, the config files are the distro. Oh, did I DC? God damn it! Thank you, Discord. Okay. I'm gonna do that. Hello.
Working now?
Yes. Discord will sometimes do this thing where I jump up to 5,000 milliseconds ping and then not reconnect, which is fantastic. Usually you guys could hear me, yeah, when I was talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had that happen a number of times.
What was it you last heard?
I didn't hear anything that you guys started saying.
Oh yeah, I think that distro reviews usually suck unless the reviewer has communication with the developers of whatever he's reviewing. We had a reviewer who streamed it. Who streamed like installation. He just stumbled upon it and communicated with us. It was Air Max.
Yeah.
Yes. Basically, he stumbled upon it and streamed it. After that, we communicated with him. He was able to show the things and the stuff about this distro, which, due to us not having a documentation team, put a lot of our features which were unknown on YouTube. So it was something that's really deep level that no reviewer would have. It was a good video.
Yeah, MX does really good work. I've been meaning to reach out to him and bring him on the show as well. People have asked me to do so for quite a while now.
Yeah, he should. He's a nice guy.
I think, especially when we're dealing with distro reviews where they're just covering every new version, like you'll see every time there's a new Ubuntu version or a new Fedora version, you get this round of reviews where it's like, oh, hey, look, here's the new default wallpaper. Here's maybe like a couple of surface level things that change. I do think especially the big distros would do themselves a lot of benefit if they sent out like a basic like press kit or update kit to people in this space, so they know like the things you actually want to highlight, not just the things that you immediately see 5 minutes after installing the distro. This is something System 76 has been pretty good with. When they first revealed Cosmic, they sent like they did like a press call talking to everyone. Obviously, a press call takes a lot of time. You got to like take a couple of hours out of the day. But even just like sending out the release notes and like the things you want to highlight to people who are like on YouTube or who are doing written journalism, like just that, I think would do a lot of benefit for pretty much any distro out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we might
Like
start doing that for major
like
updates.
I see what like most Ubuntu reviews, like the 22 whenever GNOME 45 shipped, the whole thing was about the new activities button, which is a GNOME feature, not a Ubuntu one.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing, especially with GNOME. They end up just being reviews of the desktop, and that's fine. Like if you want to do a review of the desktop, like that's great, but it's not a review of the distro, it's a review of GNOME.
I mean, like on the flip side of the coin, for a new user just searching up Ubuntu, whatever the latest version is,
that's true. Yeah,
it's better for them to see what the desktop looks like, rather than like yeah, we added a new backend for Act or something.
I guess that's true. I guess it depends on sort of the audience that you're trying to target with the review, whether it's the new users or someone looking for interesting tech. Because if I was doing one on, like if I was going to cover Gentoo, for example, I would do a deep dive into source-based packaging and, you know, the value, at least from their perspective in doing this. If I was to cover something like Vanilla OS, I would be talking about like Apex, the way they do their AB root system, things like that. If I was to talk about PikaOS, well, I wouldn't talk about any of this stuff because I wouldn't know it existed because the website needs updates. But assuming I knew about this stuff, I would talk about the device manager, the kernel manager, the way Pikmin works, all this sort of stuff that I think makes it look cool. But it's not that stuff that you immediately see upon booting. It's not, hey, this is how KDE is configured, this is the extensions they have installed, this is the theme they have pre-installed, things like that.
There's a place for both of those type of reviews, but there's the other one as well. There's the third type. There's the this is my new favorite distro, where the same YouTubers have a new favorite distro like every 4 days. It's like, what? What are you talking about?
On YouTube, you kind of have to play the game. The game is the algorithm, and yes, it's stupid, and yes, it's obviously really dumb from the outside. But that's the game. That's how YouTube works. And maybe there's a better way to do it that people haven't tried yet, but at least right now, that seems to be the thing that appeals appeals to the algorithm gods.
It's still better than well, the old way, DistroWatch. Where you don't even get on their website unless you either pay them a bunch of money or, I don't know, the guy likes you or something because he's got an infinite backlog of things to add.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense because how hard is it to just add a distro to a list?
I don't. I'm not aware of the DistroWatch stuff, so I wouldn't have a clue there. DistroWatch is an interesting website. I always like to see what's at the top right now. Is it still there?
It used to be MX, wasn't it? Usually.
Yes,
it's
MX
mid now. MX is second.
What's top?
Mint.
Yeah, I mean that's perhaps true, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's way more reasonable than MX Linux. Is
Yeah.
MX Linux another Debian distro with like hidden features no one knows about like us, or is it just a theme? Like it
I
seems so weird for it to be at the top.
it spawned off of the Anti-X project, which is like one of the distros aiming to be like hyper small. But I don't think MX has that goal, so I'm not. Honestly, my entire knowledge of MX Linux is the fact that for like 5 years it was at the top
It
of
was on top of
DistroWatch.
DistroWatch. Yeah, same.
I think that's how most people discovered it.
Yes.
I don't know. I think DistroWatch is it is a useful website as a archive of distros. But you know that's about it. Mm.
Nice to
So,
see Kashi at third, anyway.
yeah, well that actually is like a relatively popular distro. I get it. I've had people bug me about Catchy or Catchy. I don't know how to say it. I say Catchy. People have corrected me on it. I don't know if they're right or I'm right. People have bugged me about that for a very long time.
I think it's. I spelled it as Cashy because, like, cash, you
Mm.
just changed the E for a Y.
Right.
That's how my thought process was.
That makes sense. Yeah. Actually, one more thing I did want to discuss is being in the position of the distro puts you in this interesting relationship between upstream packages and the user. And this happens in both reviews and in like just general like discourse about a project. But you're in this position where the users interact with your project as the way they get these pieces of software. So in a lot of cases, you end up being the thing that is blamed when there are problems, even if those problems aren't with the way that you've configured things, but instead are problems with the upstream project.
Yeah,
Most people.
Go on.
I think like most people who use PikaOS were already nice enough to look at the Debian-based distro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's really not many instances of toxic people I deal with
Mm-hmm.
who just blame us
Right.
I don't think it's.
personally.
I don't think it's not toxicity though. It's they don't know. The average
Oh,
user
yeah.
doesn't know that where the code's coming from, so they don't know where to point the finger. But we do have we have an active support section, and we do try and help people, even if it is an upstream issue. We'll try and help them.
Mm-hmm.
I've contributed fixes myself to upstream projects as well in the past, based off of user reports. So, and filed reports on the behalf of users. So it's. I don't know of any instances of upstream being contacted because of a problem with our packaging, but I know that has happened to other distros.
Ubuntu especially.
Upstream.
Ubuntu likes to cherry pick stuff, which is fun, and leads to upstreams dealing with problems. GNOME especially. GNOME has a bunch of cherry pick patches, where they're just like, yeah, we know that the patch that doesn't work. That's why it's not in the project yet.
I mean, to be fair, GNOME like just stalls perfectly good patches, even if they're important.
Yeah, well, that's also true.
Yeah, I think you have to do some level of cherry picking and like modifications of the distro, because the upstream isn't always gonna fit 100% what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with gaming stuff, like you need to pull in like mess patches and like X-Whalen patches and other random stuff sometimes, just like otherwise the game doesn't work. Game scope is a big one as well. You've always got to be updating that, pulling in patches and what have you. And we can sometimes make mistakes and pull in broken ones, but usually we're testing it and we'll fix it and we'll let the user know. And I'm not aware of anyone getting angry at us because of us doing the Ubuntu thing. But
Well, maybe they won't get angry in the Discord, but people will go to Reddit to vent their frustrations about whatever project it is they just recently installed and for whatever reason didn't play nice with their hardware.
yeah, I mean, we do have people that raise issues that are clearly like either known bugs or KDE bugs or whatever, just because there's always a number of known ones around for whatever version, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we do get those raised, and we'll point out that there are issues upstream. There's not a right lot we can do about them. They've already been reported. They're probably going to be fixed in the next version.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not a right
the
lot else
worst
we can say, really.
The worst issues are people with cursed hardware.
Do you have any interesting examples of that?
We had like a person who had an Nvidia card.
Uh-huh.
It was like from the 3000 series.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But for some bizarre reasons, it had all the bugs like that the 900 series was stuck in.
Okay.
Like, it had the Wayland bugs, it had the Xorg refresh streaming bugs, and it wouldn't function properly with the open drivers. Like, literally, not the 900 series bugs just spawned upon this 3080 card. No one could explain why. Like, what the hell?
Did he get scammed? I don't know.
He says it's fine in Windows.
Okay, sure.
And then the same user, like, I think got a laptop with a UHD and hit a plasma bug and asked us about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, the user is cursed, not the hardware, I think.
Yeah, I've run into those people before.
Had a really weird one where this guy kept buying USB sticks from Micro Center, the really cheap Micro Center ones.
Yeah.
And there was for some reason just seg fault on our ISO when he wrote it. And then like he bought a SanDisk one and it was perfectly fine. It's just no reason, just whatever reason, it just hated our ISO. It would work fine for like Mint and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just so random. Just cursed USB sticks.
I wouldn't have a clue why that would happen. That's a new one. So, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Was there anything else you wanted to mention, or are you guys good?
No, I think I explained what the distro is about.
Okay.
And had a nice chat with you.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. This was fun. So if people want to get involved in the project, get involved in the community, where can they go? What can they... If there's anything you desperately need help with, we mentioned documentation before, but is there anything else you want to mention there? Yeah, go right ahead.
Documentations, translations. We do host a weblate instance. Our GUI packages require translation for other languages. We need more package maintainers. Currently, we have like only 2 active developers, which are standing with you now. On top of everything special, we manage 250 custom packages. We update them, track them. All of this is done manually because they are a Git instance where we cherry pick patches and stuff. So package maintainers are also welcome addition. Coders we are not desperate for, but you are free to do a pull request on our Git.
And
For all
all
of these, you can just reach out on our Discord and ping us.
and that is linked on the website. Yes, it is.
Yeah, we do also have a blog where I'm starting to write more technical details and stuff and
Another
background.
thing that is not linked on the website, by the way. I found that through a Google search.
Oh yeah, I should definitely put a link to that on
Yes,
there.
you should. Because the website links back to the wiki. But that has a explanation for that is basically like a TLDR of the stuff we talked about today, like refined, the improvements made, gaming innovation, the packaging, stuff like that.
Yes.
Cool. So is that pretty much all that you guys wanted to mention? Nothing else you wanted to direct people to? Oh, didn't you also have a donate page as well, don't you? Your coffee.
Yeah, we got a coffee.
So if you want to go support the project, yeah, go check that out as well. Nothing else then? That's pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so my main channel is Brody Robertson. I do Linux videos there 6-ish days a week. Sometimes I stream as well when I feel like doing so. The gaming channel is Brody on Games. Right now, I will be playing through Portal 2 and I'll probably be done with Stranger of Paradise by the time this comes out. So I'm going to say Ori and the Blind Forest. Yeah, maybe. Check out the channel, see what's there. I've also got the React channel where I upload clips from the stream, so if you want to just see those, that's cool as well. If you're watching the video version of this, you can find the audio version on Spotify. There's an RSS feed. Every podcast platform imaginable. There's video on Spotify, which is neat if you care about that. I also, if you're listening to the audio version of this, you can find the video version on YouTube at Tech Over Tea. So, I will give you guys the final word. How do you want to sign off the episode? Hello?
Hello.
How do you want to sign off the episode?
Thank you, Wondi, for hosting us. It was very cool. And I couldn't get my mic working for just to say thank you, so that was embarrassing. Thanks.
No.
Bye.
It's all good, Ferreo, anything you want to say?
Thanks for having us, mate.
Sweet, perfect.